They said he'd never walk again. 16 months later, he was holding the US Open trophy. This is the story of how a broken man became a legend. February 2nd, 1949. A foggy Texas morning. Ben Hogan and his wife Valerie are driving home to Fort Worth after tournaments in Phoenix. Visibility is terrible. Hogan slows to under 20 miles per hour as they cross a narrow bridge near Van Horn. At 8:30 a.m., 4 headlights appear through the fog. A Greyhound bus, 20,000 pounds of steel traveling at 50 miles per hour, is passing a truck in the oncoming lane. There's nowhere to go. In the split second before impact, Hogan releases the steering wheel and throws himself across his wife's body. The collision is catastrophic. The Cadillac's engine shoots through the front seat like a cannonball. The steering wheel impales the driver's seat, right where Hogan had been sitting moments before. His instinct to protect Valerie saved both their lives, but the price is devastating. Hogan suffers a fractured collarbone, a double fracture of the pelvis, a broken ankle, a broken rib, and severe damage to his left eye. Valerie helps pull her husband from the mangled wreckage. The bus careens into an embankment. Ben Hogan, the best golfer in the world, might not survive the week. An ambulance takes 90 minutes to arrive from El Paso. Hogan loses and regains consciousness multiple times during transport. At the Hotel Dieu hospital, doctors set his bones and place him in plaster casts. At first, his condition improves. Newspapers that initially reported him dead now celebrate his heroism. Hogan's greatest win, saving his gal Val. Thousands of get-well messages pour in. The cold, aloof Ben Hogan is suddenly America's hero. Then, 16 days after the crash, everything changes. Blood clots from his shattered left leg are traveling toward his lungs, threatening a pulmonary embolism that will kill him. Doctors try blood thinners. They fail. He's losing weight, losing strength, slipping away. Emergency surgery is the only option. The family contacts the Mayo Clinic. They're told the best vascular surgeon in America is Dr. Alton Ochsner in New Orleans. But a rainstorm grounds all commercial flights. In desperation, Hogan's brother Royal calls El Paso Air Force Base. Hogan had served as a captain in the Army Air Force during World War II. The commanding officer doesn't hesitate. A B-29 bomber is dispatched to New Orleans, returning hours later with Dr. Ochsner on board. The surgery lasts 2 hours. Ochsner ligates Hogan's inferior vena cava, essentially tying off the main vein, returning blood from his legs to prevent future clots. It's a brutal procedure that saves his life but guarantees permanent damage. Hogan's legs will never be the same. But here's what the doctors didn't understand. Ben Hogan had been fighting impossible odds his entire life. 9-year-old Ben Hogan stands in his family's Fort Worth home. His father, Chester Hogan, a blacksmith whose trade has been destroyed by the automobile, points a .38 revolver at his chest and pulls the trigger. Some reports say Ben witnessed the suicide. Others say he heard the gunshot from another room. What's certain is this: the trauma never leaves him, and from that moment forward, nothing in life seems impossible to overcome. The family plunges into poverty. Ben's older brother Royal becomes the Rock, delivering supplies, selling newspapers, pumping gas. 9-year-old Ben joins him, selling papers at the train station. Then he hears caddies at Glen Garden Country Club make 65 cents per round. He walks 7 miles each way to carry bags. When the caddies aren't working, they can hit balls on the range. Hogan hits more balls than anyone else. He's not naturally talented. In fact, he's terrible, small, scrawny, plagued by a vicious hook. But he has something else: a rage to prove everyone wrong. At age 15, he loses a caddy tournament playoff to Byron Nelson when Nelson holds a miraculous 30-foot putt. From that moment on, Hogan is obsessed with surpassing Nelson. At 17, Hogan turns professional. He has to. His family needs money. But professional golf in the 1930s is brutal. He enters tournaments with $5 in his pocket and withdraws in humiliation. He goes broke in 1930, goes broke again in 1931, again in 1933, again in 1934. Most people would quit, but Hogan's wife Valerie refuses to let him give up. "You're so close," she tells him. She becomes his secretary, treasurer, and wardrobe mistress, traveling with him, managing their dwindling funds, believing when no one else does. In January 1938, they're down to $86 at the Oakland Open. They park Hogan's car across the street from their hotel to save the parking fee. The next morning, the wheels have been stolen. Byron Nelson gives him a ride to the course. Hogan finishes sixth, earning $285, enough to keep going. Then comes the Hershey 4-ball. Hogan and Vic Gazy win. It's Hogan's first professional victory, 10 years after he turned pro. The breakthrough unleashes something. By 1940, Hogan is the tour's leading money winner. By 1946, he wins his first major, the PGA Championship. By 1948, he dominates golf completely, winning 10 tournaments. Between August 1945 and the car crash, Ben Hogan wins 37 tournaments. He's the best golfer on the planet. And then a Greyhound bus destroys everything. April 1st, 1949. Nearly 2 months after the accident, Hogan leaves the hospital. He returns to Fort Worth by train, unable to walk without a walker. Doctors tell him he'll never play competitive golf again. His legs are permanently damaged, blood flow restricted, muscles atrophied, constant pain and swelling. But Hogan has spent his entire life being told what he can't do. "People have always been telling me what I can't do," he says. "I guess I have wanted to show them. That's been one of my driving forces all my life." By September 1949, just 7 months after nearly dying, Hogan travels by ship to England as non-playing captain of the U.S. Ryder Cup team. The Americans win 7-5. When Hogan returns to Fort Worth, he begins hitting full shots on the range. The pain is excruciating, but it lessens over time. On December 10th, he plays 18 holes at Colonial Country Club for the first time since the crash, using a scooter between shots. 2 weeks later, he registers for the Los Angeles Open in January 1950, his return to competition. The golf world doesn't know what to expect. Hogan opens with a 73 at Riviera Country Club, his legs wrapped in bandages from groin to ankle. Then he shoots 69, 69, 69 to finish at 4 under par, tied with Sam Snead. In the 18-hole playoff, exhaustion overtakes him. He shoots 76 and loses to Snead's 72. Sports writer Grantland Rice writes, "His legs simply were not strong enough to carry his heart any longer." But Hogan knows something the world doesn't. He's just getting started. June 1950. The U.S. Open at Marion Golf Club in Ardmore, Pennsylvania. Hogan arrives with a grueling pre-round routine. He wakes at 5 a.m., soaks in a hot bath with Epsom salts for over an hour, wraps his legs in elastic bandages from groin to ankles, then begins a 4-hour practice session to loosen his damaged muscles. This is his life now, hours of preparation for what used to be effortless. The tournament format requires 36 holes on the final day, Saturday. For Hogan, this is a brutal test. Thursday's opening round, 72, 2 over par. Friday, 69, playing through severe cramping. He trails the leader by 2 shots heading into Saturday's double round. Saturday morning. Hogan shoots 72 in the morning round, legs cramping but manageable. He's still 2 strokes behind 1946 U.S. Open champion Lloyd Mangrum. Then comes the afternoon round. The round that will define whether Ben Hogan's comeback is real or just a desperate fantasy. As Hogan makes the turn, the pain intensifies. His front 9, 37. It's enough to take the lead as his competitors falter. But now, with 9 holes remaining, 13,000 spectators are following him. They sense they're witnessing something historic. On the 12th hole, after hitting his drive and climbing the hill to his ball, Hogan visibly staggers and nearly collapses. "My legs had turned to stone," he later recalls. Hogan clings to a 2-shot lead on the 15th hole. 3-putt. Bogey. The lead shrinks. On the 17th hole, he finds the greenside bunker. Bogey. Now he needs par on the final hole just to force a playoff. The 18th at Marion, 458 yards uphill, par 4. One of the most demanding finishing holes in golf. Hogan finds the fairway with his drive, but he still has 213 yards to the green. He removes a 1-iron from his bag. Before the tournament, someone asked why he wasn't carrying a 7-iron. Hogan's response, "There aren't any 7-iron shots out there." That's how precisely he prepares. Hogan sets up over the ball. His legs are screaming. Every muscle fiber in his body is begging him to stop. Behind him, Life magazine photographer Hy Peskin braces his camera on another spectator's shoulder. Hogan swings. The one iron launches into the Pennsylvania sky, flying 213 yards and landing 40 feet from the hole. Peskin's shutter clicks at the exact moment of Hogan's follow-through. The photograph will become one of the most iconic images in sports history. Hogan two putts for par. He's tied with Lloyd Mangrum and George Fazio at 7 over 287. There will be an 18-hole playoff on Sunday. That night at the Barclay Hotel in Philadelphia, Hogan gets the first good night's sleep he's had in days. Sunday morning, rejuvenated, he arrives at Marion for the playoff. Mangrum birdies the second hole. Hogan falls behind, but he never trails again. On the 17th hole, 50 feet from the cup, Hogan rolls in a birdie putt that establishes a 4-shot lead. Final scores: Hogan 69, Mangrum 73, Fazio 75. Just 16 months after doctors said he'd never walk again, Ben Hogan is the US Open champion. It's immediately hailed as the greatest comeback in sports history. They call it the Miracle at Marion. But here's the thing about miracles. They're not luck. They're the result of relentless, obsessive work that most people can't comprehend. Hogan had always been that way, isolating himself on practice ranges, hitting balls until they perfectly matched his vision, digging answers out of the dirt. The accident didn't create his determination. It simply revealed what had always been there. 4 years later, he won 3 majors in one season. That's not a comeback. That's not even— They called her the shortest lady on the greens, but this year she stood taller than everyone. Lydia Ko didn't just return to form. She rewrote what a comeback looks like. From rock bottom to Olympic gold, from doubt to domination, she turned a crisis into a masterclass. It wasn't luck. It was evolution in real time. There was a moment not too long ago when people whispered, "What happened to Lydia Ko?" She wasn't just another golfer. She was a teenage phenomenon, a name you mentioned in the same breath as greatness. Her swing was poetry, her composure unshakable, her smile so calm it made even her rivals relax. But by 2022, that same smile began to look strained. Her rhythm was off, her shots scattered, and for the first time in years, she looked human. The scary kind of human, the one searching for a spark that once came naturally. Golf, of course, doesn't forgive easily. You can fake confidence in front of cameras, but not in front of a fairway. Every miss cuts deeper than any headline. And as the missed putts piled up, so did the whispers. Maybe she'd peaked too soon. Maybe the magic was gone. But the truth? Lydia wasn't losing her edge. She was shedding an old version of herself. At the tail end of 2022, life threw in another twist: marriage. Lydia tied the knot with Jun Chung, a quiet yet grounding presence who understood her chaos without trying to control it. He was stability, but also distance. His ties to the Bay Area and her commitments in Orlando meant long flights, constant movement, and the subtle loneliness that comes with being everywhere but home. Then came the shift that sent ripples through her career. She parted ways with her longtime coach Sean Foley. It was polite, mutual, and expected. But behind that professionalism was uncertainty. For a golfer, a coach isn't just a teacher. They're an anchor. And Lydia was suddenly without one. The early part of 2023 felt heavy. She tried new techniques, new clubs, new rhythms. Everything except peace. Her game looked tense. Her joy dimmed. Reporters noticed. Fans speculated. The world that once adored her now analyzed her like a puzzle that didn't fit. But every now and then, a flash of old Lydia appeared. Partnering with Jason Day at the Grant Thornton Invitational, she smiled wider, joked more, swung freer. There was no pressure, no leaderboard panic, just the game she loved. That event didn't count toward her record, but it counted toward her confidence. And for someone rebuilding from scratch, that mattered more. By early 2024, something clicked. Lydia came out at Lake Nona like a storm in control of itself. Her shots were deliberate, her focus sharp, her demeanor balanced. When she won that tournament, it wasn't the victory that mattered most. It was the relief. She was 1 point shy of the LPGA Hall of Fame, a record that would etch her name alongside legends. Just 1 point. That's like being 1 heartbeat away from history. Then came the heartbreak, the drive-on championship. Lydia played her heart out, poised to seal that final Hall of Fame point. But golf is cruel. Enter Nelly Korda, a rival, a friend, and a lightning strike in human form. With an eagle birdie finish, Nelly forced a playoff and then snatched the victory. It was a gut punch. The difference between glory and agony was a single stroke. Lydia smiled for the cameras, congratulated Nelly with grace. But when she walked off, you could see the weight in her shoulders. That 1 point began to feel like a mountain. The next few months were a tug-of-war between effort and exhaustion. She practiced harder but smiled less. Her confidence wavered, and even her routines, usually sacred, felt mechanical. That's when her inner circle stepped in. June, her husband, grounded her with quiet support. Her mother, her lifelong pillar, reminded her why she played in the first place. And slowly, Lydia realized the only way forward was to stop forcing it. She needed to find her rhythm again, not through muscle memory, but through mental freedom. That clarity arrived in Paris. The 2024 Olympics weren't supposed to define her season. They were supposed to be a detour. But sometimes, detours are where destiny hides. Lydia arrived in France without expectations. No one was betting on her. And maybe that's exactly what she needed. Her first few rounds were clinical, laser-focused. Fairways hit, greens reached, pressure ignored. By the final day, she led by 5 strokes with 7 holes to go. Then, disaster. A short approach rolled into the water. Gasps rippled through the gallery. You could almost feel the déjà vu of failure creeping in. But Lydia stood still, took 1 long breath. The kind of silence that says, "I've been here before." Then she reset, steady putts, calm eyes, precise swings. The nerves didn't vanish, but she learned to live with them. Her birdie on the final hole was her exclamation mark. That gold medal wasn't just a victory, it was redemption made visible. Later she said, "I was not in a good mental space, and to overcome that is something I'm really proud of." That's Lydia, quiet power wrapped in grace. And just when everyone thought she'd take a break, she flew straight to Scotland for the AIG Women's Open. Different continent, same hunger. The air at St. Andrews carries ghosts of golf history, and Lydia seemed to breathe them in. Her practice rounds were steady, her mood lighter. By the final round, she was painting shots with precision. Curve, spin, control, artistry. On the 16th, she hit a recovery shot that could be studied in textbooks. On the 17th, she unleashed a daring 3-wood that sliced through the wind like it had GPS. And the final wedge? Perfection, landing within 8 feet of the pin. She sank the putt, gave a subtle fist pump, and walked off like she'd just rewritten her own story. Watching from afar, her former coach Foley said it best. When she's locked in, there's no stopping her. Her momentum didn't stop in Scotland, it exploded. Back home in South Korea, the BMW Ladies Championship was supposed to be another test. Lydia turned it into a clinic. Her first round? Flawless. Bogey-free, 5 under, 17 greens hit, every fairway found. That wasn't luck. That was engineering precision. It marked her 135th bogey-free round since 2014, 51 more than anyone else in the same span. That's not dominance, that's obsession meeting mastery. And behind that magic was something deceptively simple. A tiny change that transformed everything. She started teeing the ball lower. That's it. No expensive gear, no drastic swing rebuild, just a lower tee. But that tweak changed how her driver connected, tightened her control, and gave her confidence off the tee box. Lydia called it her fairway finder. Analysts called it genius. Fans just called it classic Lydia, turning subtlety into superpower. Her accuracy soared. At one point she was hitting nearly 90% of fairways, compared to just 35% at her worst stretch the year before. That's a jump so massive it feels made up. But Lydia's proof that sometimes the smallest changes unlock the biggest transformations. She said she noticed her 3-wood shots were more consistent even from the ground, so she replicated that setup with her driver. Simple logic, elite execution. When she won at the Kroger Queen City Championship, She missed just 5 fairways, 5, for a full tournament. She laughed afterward and said it almost felt like she had a secret club in her bag. On firm courses, her drives rolled forever after landing, giving her both distance and control. Her confidence grew round by round until it looked like she was playing chess while everyone else played checkers. At BMW, she finished her opening round 3 strokes behind the leaders. To some, that's a deficit. To Lydia, it was a setup. She's been here before. Close enough to taste victory, far enough to stay hungry. She walked off that 18th green without frustration, just that small, knowing smile that says, "I'm exactly where I need to be." It's the kind of quiet confidence that unnerves opponents more than any leaderboard stat. Because when Lydia Ko starts lurking near the top, the field knows she's calculating, not panicking. With her calm focus and technical sharpness, everyone could feel that shift in the air. It wasn't just the precision of her swing, it was the rhythm of her body language, unrushed, unbothered, fully in control of the moment. The kind of energy that says, "You might lead today, but I'll own Sunday." For Lydia, being 3 shots behind isn't pressure, it's potential. But Lydia's greatness isn't just measured in scorecards, it's in her composure. She talks about pressure like it's an old friend. "You can't fight nerves," she once said. "You can only learn to breathe with them." That's the evolution of Lydia Ko, the kid prodigy who once tried to control every inch of her game, now simply flows with it. She doesn't resist the tension, she channels it. Every deep breath, every slow walk to the tee box feels intentional, like she's mastered not just golf, but herself. And that's what separates her from the rest. Where others crumble under expectation, Lydia performs best when the moment tightens. It's not defiance, it's grace under fire. She's turned pressure from a curse into her favorite playing partner. Off the course, she's become more open, more grounded. In interviews, she laughs easily, crediting her husband, her mental coach, and even her dog for keeping her balanced. She says walking her golden retriever is her favorite kind of therapy. That humility makes her not just admired, but loved. In an age where athletes often armor themselves in ego, Lydia remains disarmingly normal, and that's her secret weapon. 2024 turned into a highlight reel. From Lake Nona to Paris to St. Andrews to Seoul, every victory carried a quiet undertone. Resilience. She even received the Heather Farr Perseverance Award, honoring her fight through adversity. The applause wasn't just for her trophies, it was for her transparency, her courage to admit when she struggled. Lydia said she was proud of learning how to be kind to herself. That's rare in any sport. But in golf, a game built on self-critique, it's revolutionary. Then there's that promise to retire at 30. She'd made it half seriously years ago, and the media loved to remind her of it. But after 2024, retirement suddenly felt like a distant thought. She joked that if she kept winning, she might negotiate with her younger self. And honestly, who could blame her? With 22 LPGA titles, 3 Olympic medals, and 3 majors, she's achieved more before 30 than most could in 2 lifetimes. But she's still chasing something, the women's career Super Grand Slam. Only a few names in history have done it. Lydia's 1 major away. And knowing her, she won't stop until that final box is checked. So if you've ever hit your own rough patch, take a page from Lydia's playbook. The comeback doesn't start when people believe in you again. It starts when you quietly decide you still believe in yourself.
Last year, 22, 23-1, so just knowing that the score itself is there.
Imagine a teenage kid turning up at a major tournament and simply making the cut, as if nothing remarkable happened. That's exactly what Michael Thorbjornsen did. But in a world that prefers spectacle, his arrival looked more like a whisper than a roar. Michael was born in 2001 in Cleveland, Ohio, but his story spans continent. His mother, Sandra Chang, is from Zimbabwe and played college golf in Ohio. His father, Thorbjorn, hailed from Norway. From the very beginning, Michael was not just someone someone who played golf. He questioned it. By age 2, plastic clubs were part of his play. By 4, he was tagging along to the course. By 6, he was sharpening his swing. The divots in junior tournaments began telling the story. He won the U.S. Kids World Championship at ages 10 and 11. Those were early signals of a kid who couldn't be measured by age brackets. In 2018, at just 16, he claimed the U.S. Junior Amateur at Baltusrol, earning a spot in the 2019 U.S. Open at Pebble Beach. There, as a high schooler, he made the cut. He finished 79th, a feat so rare for an amateur at that age it made insiders sit up. Then came Stanford. Choosing that university wasn't just about pedigree, it was where mechanics meet mental toughness. On the collegiate circuit, Thorbjornsen's consistency stood out. Multiple top 10 finishes, capturing the Pac-12 championship, and performing in pro-level fields even while still an amateur. One such moment, during the Travelers Championship, he competed on a sponsor exemption, shot low, and finished 4th. Because he was still an amateur, the prize money was given to another player, but everyone saw the result. He also represented the U.S. International in events where national pride and pressure intersect. That kind of stage tested his mettle. In 2024, he finished #1 in PGA Tour University rankings, a direct pathway to the main tour. Immediately turning pro, he entered a new chapter, but he entered quietly. No flashy announcements, no viral hype campaign. He let performance carry him forward because his story wasn't about showmanship, it was about unfolding. By 2025, Thorbjornsen was no longer just a promising rookie, he was a contender. In his 3rd PGA Tour start, he nearly won the John Deere Classic, finishing as runner-up. Soon after, he tied for 2nd at Corrales Punta Cana. Both results screamed, this kid doesn't just hold his own, he challenges. But distance alone isn't enough. What separates him is how he pairs power with crisp control. In 2025 through June, he ranked top 5 in driving distance, averaging well over 316 yards off the tee. He's not just out-driving others, he makes the longer clubs accurate. In several recent events, his strokes gained off the tee hovered around plus 0.4, placing him among the elite instead of the hope. He's earning advantage, not luck. At the same time, he posted greens in regulation near 69 to 70%. That means his long game slots him an advantage, not as the one-trick bomb thrower, but as someone who gives himself birdie chances. His weakness? Putting. Over a series of tournaments, he posted a negative strokes gained putting, ranking in the lower third of full-time players. It's not disastrous, it's a gap, a realistic one, but elite champions refine gaps. His swing mechanics deserve praise. It's athletic, fluid, and consistent. He doesn't try to yank shots. He lets his body torque, let the club face do the work, and control the ball flight. He once said, when I hit them solid, they go the distance I need, and they cut wind. They stay steady. That mindset separates power from chaos. In major settings, he's shown flash. At the 2025 PGA Championship, his rounds of 68, 70, 74, 74 placed him T41. Not headline winning, but more than serviceable. A test run, not a crash test. And in team events, he's shown he can perform. In 2025, he tied for 4th at the Zurich Classic of New Orleans, demonstrating he can succeed beyond individual stroke play. That versatility mattered. Behind the scenes, he made an intriguing move, adding Lance Bennett as caddy. Bennett has caddied for Tiger Woods, Matt Kuchar, and others. The early pairing suggests he brings calm, better ball striking reads, and mature course management, the kind of guidance a rising star needs when the margin for error shrinks. So how did so many miss his arrival? A few reasons. First, he isn't loud. He doesn't chase viral moments or hype. He works. He competes. He shows. In an era obsessed with clickbait, quiet excellence is a liability. Second, saturated waves of promising rookies. In a field flush with rising names, Hogegaards, Kordas, Poggeaters, media attention is fragmented. He's a blast in a room full of fireworks. Third, the pathway was unobtrusive. He didn't have to dominate the Korn Ferry Tour or rely solely on sponsor invite. He progressed to the collegiate route, steady, controlled, and under the radar. Fourth, he already plays mature. He doesn't chase attention. His demeanor is grounded. That often translates to low media noise. It's a strength until you know. Now, as the lights move toward him, the questions sharpen. Can he close? 2 near misses early in his pro career show promise, but also the killer instinct he must forward. Can he turn length into totality? Power is incomplete without finesse. Approaches, short game, nerves under 72. Can he withstand pressure? In majors, spectators, and final rounds, cracks show. Does he crack? Does he grow? Which identity will he embrace? The bomber? The thinking shot maker? Or a hybrid that thrives under any condition? Can he stand out? In an overflow of stars, does he become a name or remain a cult favorite? His Stanford coach, Conrad Ray, issued words seldom given lightly. When he's on, there aren't many guys who can drive better than him. And I don't say that lightly. That's not hype. It's a statement. In 2025, Michael steps into a season of proof. More starts, more high-profile events, more pressure. Does he win? Does he contend deep in majors? Does he become a fixture? Or does he fade into the churn? One thing seems clear. The golf world would be wise to start noticing. This is not a background arrival. He's the quietly building storm. He doesn't ask for hype. He earns it. And that may be stronger in the long run.
Golf has long been seen as a gentleman's sport, steeped in tradition, etiquette, and a code of conduct that dates back centuries. The PGA Tour has worked tirelessly to maintain that image, carefully curating the way the game is presented to the world. Players are expected to be professional, respectful, and in line with the unspoken standards of golf's culture. Yet every so often, a figure comes along who completely disrupts that balance. Someone who refuses to play by the old rules and in doing so, shakes the very foundation of the sport. Today we're talking about a golfer who has not only captured the attention of fans worldwide, but has left the PGA uneasy, even terrified, of what his rise represents. Because he isn't just another talented athlete swinging a club. He's a cultural force, a disruptor, and someone rewriting what it means to succeed in golf. For decades, the PGA has been dominated by carefully packaged stories. Players like Jack Nicklaus, Tiger Woods, and Rory McIlroy have all embodied different eras of greatness. Tiger, of course, broke barriers, becoming the most dominant and marketable golfer of all time. But even Tiger, despite his controversies off the course, largely fit into the PGA's model. Relentless drive, professional demeanor, polished image. This new golfer, however, doesn't fit that mold at all. He represents something raw, unfiltered, and unpredictable. The PGA isn't terrified because he's winning. It's terrified because of how he's winning and what he symbolizes for the future of the game. Fans are drawn to him not just because of his game, but because he doesn't care about being traditional. He's outspoken, brash at times, and he connects with audiences in ways golf has rarely seen. He streams online, engages with fans on social media, and carries himself more like an entertainer than a traditional golfer. In a world where attention spans are shrinking and audiences crave authenticity, he's giving them exactly what they want. That's a nightmare for the PGA, which has historically controlled the narrative around its stars. Suddenly, here's someone they can't control, and he doesn't want to be controlled. On the course, he's breaking barriers too. His style is unconventional. Big drives, aggressive shots, and a willingness to take risks that most PGA pros would never dream of. Traditionalists scoff, calling it reckless or disrespectful to the game, but fans love it. They see a golfer who's fearless, who isn't afraid to miss if it means going for glory. That kind of mentality resonates with younger audiences who see golf as slow, rigid, and outdated. He's injecting energy into a sport desperate for it. But for the PGA, this also raises questions. What happens if this kind of play becomes the new norm? What happens if golfers start caring more about highlight reels than about the etiquette of the game? Another reason the PGA fears him is because of the way he's monetizing his presence outside of golf. Instead of relying solely on tour winnings or sponsorships controlled by the PGA's ecosystem, he's building his own brand, his own empire. Merchandise, streaming platforms, independent endorsements. He's proving that a golfer doesn't need to be completely tied to the tour to make money. That's dangerous for the PGA, because it weakens their control. If more golfers follow his path, the PGA could lose its monopoly on who gets to be a star in the sport. It's not just money either. It's influence. His social media following dwarfs many of his peers. He posts content that goes viral, whether it's a jaw-dropping trick shot, a candid moment, or an unfiltered rant about the state of the game. Younger fans don't discover him through PGA broadcasts. They discover him through TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. This means that for the next generation of golf fans, he, not the PGA, is the face of the sport. That shift in power terrifies the tour because it undermines their role as the gatekeeper of golf's image. The PGA's unease also comes from history. They've seen what happens when one player becomes bigger than the game itself. Tiger Woods was such a phenomenon that the tour's ratings, sponsorships, and global reach skyrocketed. But when Tiger faltered due to injuries and personal scandals, the PGA suffered. They realized they were too dependent on one man. Now, with this new golfer, the risk is different, but just as dangerous. He's not just a dominant player. They can't box him in, can't polish his image, and can't predict what he'll do next. That unpredictability makes sponsors nervous and challenges the carefully crafted aura of tradition the PGA sells. Some insiders argue that this golfer is simply what golf needs, someone to shake up its rigid culture and bring in a new wave of fans. And to some extent, they're right. Attendance is higher at events where he plays. Merchandise sales spike when he's involved. Social media buzz surrounding golf is at its highest levels in years. But the PGA can't ignore the risks. A sport built on tradition isn't ready for a star who openly mocks those traditions, challenges authority, and plays by his own rules. It's like trying to fit a wildfire into a glass box. It doesn't work, and eventually, something breaks. What makes this story even more compelling is the way other golfers respond to him. Some embrace him, seeing the potential to modernize golf and bring in new audiences. Others resent him, believing his antics disrespect the integrity of the game. This split within the players adds another layer of tension. The PGA thrives when its players present a united front. Now, it faces division, not just between itself and this golfer, but within the locker room. As his popularity grows, the PGA has tried subtle tactics to rein him in. Fines for minor infractions, stricter enforcement of rules, behind-the-scenes pressure to conform, but none of it sticks. In fact, every attempt to silence or control him only adds fuel to his fire. Fans rally behind him even more, seeing him as a rebel fighting against an outdated system. And in today's culture, people love rebels. They don't want another polished cookie-cutter golfer. They want someone real, raw, and unafraid to push boundaries. The irony is that the PGA benefits from him, even as it fears him. Ratings climb when he's in contention. Highlight reels featuring his daring shots spread far beyond golf's usual audience. Sponsors may be wary, but they can't ignore the exposure he brings. He's both the PGA's greatest asset and its greatest threat. That duality is exactly why they're terrified. They need him, but they can't control him. Over time, his impact may change golf forever. We may see more golfers embracing entertainment as much as performance. We may see traditional broadcasts give way to live streams and interactive fan experiences. We may see the PGA forced to adapt its image to keep up with younger audiences. Whether they like it or not, this golfer is dragging them into the future. And that future looks nothing like the past. He represents a shift from golf as a quiet, elite pastime to golf as a global entertainment spectacle. His energy, his personality, and his refusal to conform are pulling in fans who never cared about golf before. And in doing so, he's creating a future where the PGA may no longer be the undisputed king of golf's narrative. That's what terrifies them the most. Not just that he's winning tournaments, but that he's winning hearts and minds in a way they can't match. The truth is, golf has always needed change, even if it didn't want to admit it. And now that change has arrived in the form of one fearless golfer. Whether the PGA adapts or resists will determine not just his legacy, but the future of the entire sport. The story of why the PGA is terrified of this golfer isn't just about golf. It's about power, control, and the evolution of sports in a digital era. To truly understand the weight of what's happening, we need to step back and look at the bigger picture. Golf has always been one of the most conservative sports in the world. Its roots lie in exclusivity, in country clubs with strict dress codes and unwritten rules of behavior. For decades, those traditions shaped not only how golf was played, but also how it was perceived by the public. Players were expected to maintain a certain image, one that reflected discipline, politeness, and loyalty to the sport. Deviating from that was almost unthinkable, but times have changed. Audiences don't want carefully curated images anymore. They want authenticity, flaws, and stories that feel real. That's exactly what this golfer provides, and that's why he feels so threatening to the old guard. His rise is also closely tied to the shifting media landscape. In the past, the PGA controlled the main way fans consumed golf: television broadcasts, carefully edited highlight reels, official press conferences. Today, those channels are no longer dominant. A golfer with a smartphone and a social media account can reach millions of people directly, bypassing the PGA's gatekeeping entirely. That's what this golfer has mastered. He shares behind-the-scenes moments, jokes, training sessions, even frustrations after bad rounds. He's human in a way that many PGA wall between the player and the audience. But for the PGA, it undermines decades of effort to maintain golf's pristine image. It's worth noting that this isn't the first time golf has faced a disruptor. Arnold Palmer brought charisma and charm to the sport, creating the Arnie's Army fan movement in the 1960s. Seve Ballesteros broke traditions with his flamboyant style and fiery personality. And Tiger Woods, of course, shattered racial and cultural barriers while redefining what dominance in golf looked like. Each time, the sport grew, but each time the PGA had to adapt. This golfer is part of that lineage, but he's different in one key way. He's not just a golfer, he's a brand built on rebellion. His career is as much about content creation and fan engagement as it is about fairways and greens. That makes him harder to contain because even if he walked away from the PGA tomorrow, his influence wouldn't vanish. In fact, it might grow stronger. And here's the nightmare scenario for the PGA. What if he decides to leave? What if he partners with rival tours, independent competitions, or creates his own golf events? We've already seen hints of this in other sports. Levy Golf, funded by Saudi Arabia's public investment fund, shook up the golf world by offering massive contracts and alternative formats. Some players left the PGA to join it, sparking lawsuits, tension, and heated debates about the future of professional golf. Imagine this golfer spearheading a movement like that, or even starting something entirely new. He has the audience, the charisma, and the independent revenue streams to pull it off. The PGA knows that possibility is real, and it terrifies them. Another aspect of his rise is psychological. Golf is a mental game more than almost any other sport. Tradition tells players to stay calm, stay humble, never show too much emotion. But this golfer throws that out the window. He celebrates loudly after big shots. He vents after mistakes. He embraces passion instead of suppressing it. For fans, it's refreshing. They see themselves in his highs and lows. For the PGA, it's uncomfortable. They worry it makes the game look chaotic, less dignified. Yet that passion may be exactly what draws new audiences who never saw themselves in golf before. So what do you think? Is this golfer the savior golf has been waiting for, or the chaos that will tear down its traditions? Let me know in the comments. I want to hear your take. And if you enjoyed diving into this story, don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe for more deep dives into the stories shaping sports today. Because this is just the beginning, and trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next.